Peace, peace, peace. Let me make sure. Let me know if everybody can hear me. Give me feedback. My mic's not connecting. Word. Okay, okay. Let me make sure. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me good? Drop a 3 in the chat box if you guys can all hear me. Peace and blessings. Supreme Rising. Can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me? My quality is terrible. All right, we'll get into it here in a second. I just wanted to make sure everybody can hear me. No mic, no mic. All right, no mic. Mic's not working, but y'all say y'all can hear me. So today we're going to be covering 5 secrets to be able to help you guys remove anything off your guys' consumer report. So we'll get right into it here in a second. Let's go ahead and get some likes in the video so that more people can get in tune. We're currently tuned in from Japan. I mean, I would show you guys, but y'all can't even see nothing on here. This is terrible quality. I got my webcam out and everything, but it is what it is, man. We're going to just do our thing and we'll get right into it and we'll get right to it. So, without further ado, there's 5 consumer law secrets, the things that I want you guys to know when you guys are coming into the space of being able to get anything removed off your guys' consumer report. So in the description, I wrote, credit is life. And I want to break that down a little bit. So I'm going to take you guys here to Title 15 USC 1602. And that breaks down the term credit. This is the definition section of all of truth in lending. So we have a great video going over truth in lending as a whole, and we have a truth in lending overview. We have an overview of the FDCP and FCRA also within our private community, even here on the YouTube channel at tuning into the mob, which is only $25 a month. But above all else, I wanted to break down the term credit and what it truly means. So there's tons of definitions, and within each subchapter, there's a whole definition section specifically for that subchapter. So it's vital that we understand the definitions within that subchapter if we're exercising and using that subchapter. So I'm going to take you guys here once again to 15 USC 1602, which is the definition section for truth in lending. Now, if we scroll down to the term F, letter F, it defines the term credit, and it means the right granted by a creditor. So right away, I'm going to stop here. So credit is not a privilege. It's not something that, we were, just somehow given throughout our lifetime. See, in order to even have credit and be able to extend one's credit, you got to first come from a creditor. See, so I want you guys to understand, in order to even be a creditor, you must be able to create. See, we are granting all of these corporations a right. We're granting them. And if you think about what a grant is, what is a grant? Okay, well, I help businesses, get approved for grants. And in order to get approved for a certain grant, you got to meet a certain qualification and you got to be able to, basically state as to why you are, why you should receive that grant. That's not the word I'm looking for, but I want you guys to understand that if we're granting them something, they got to meet certain qualifications once again. And it's a right, it's not a privilege. So this is something that we've been born with. We've been born with credit, and ever since a young age, we've been granting all of these corporations our credit. If you think about it in the schooling system, what do they need? That credit card. See, if you guys scroll down in 15 USC 1602 as well, you guys will also see the term credit card. Right away, when we're born, what is it that we get? Our credit card, our social security number, our social security card. We're not able to even leave the hospital without that social security card. Why is it that when we turn 18, these corporations are telling us that we've been approved for this credit card and this auto loan, that in this loan? Because the moment that we give them our credit card, we've been entered into a consumer credit transaction, and we're granting these corporations, right? We're giving them life, right? So what I want you guys to understand is that credit truly is life, and that we're giving them the life. If you guys think about a bank, an actual river bank, what flows through a bank? A current, right? And currency is literally just energy. See, ever since they took us off the gold standard, there is no lawful money. See, what I want you guys to understand is that we, the people, are the money. That's why in the FCRA it states that there's a need to ensure, the public's confidence. They want us to, make sure that we're believing in their banking system. And without us believing in their banking system, just like in the 1930s, there would be a big collapse in the banking system. If we all took our money out of the banks today, the banks would collapse. They wouldn't even be able to give us back all of our money in the banks as a whole. So I want you guys to understand is that credit is life. It's something that y'all shouldn't play with. It's something that you guys got to understand on a deeper level. And it's something that all of you guys got to take more pride in. And when these corporations are pulling your credit, they're profiting, they're benefiting off of you. It's like they're literally sucking energy from you and your life and your livelihood. So for that, that's why we're able to get remedy. That's why many of our clients are going out and not only getting deletions, but they're getting paid for it as well too. That's why in the 1960s, JFK pushed the Consumer Credit Protection Act. That's why in 1962 this was passed. This isn't something that's fairly new. Y'all see what Robert Kennedy's doing right now with I don't want to get this video ban, shadow ban, but I like what Trump's going to be doing. And basically, anybody that is, you know, shadow banning and limiting people's views because of what they're talking about, he's going to have that banned and removed come January. But RFK is basically exposing the big corporations in America that are, spraying our foods with pesticides, that are giving us GMO foods, lab printed foods, all of these things that we're consuming, which are killing us, slowly but surely, and not even so much slowly nowadays with things that they're putting the microplastics, so on and so forth. And what I want you guys to understand is that the age that we're stepping into, what's in the dark must come to light. Many of these banks are going to be going out of business as well too fairly soon as well. Mark my words. The feds are going to be, coming to an end as well too very soon as well, because now we got this thing called cryptocurrency, right, which is the people's money. This is just like gold. It's a digital gold. Yes, there's going to be regulated projects and coins by the banks and whatnot. I know XRP is semi decentralized, but just about a, a a bigger majority of these coins are decentralized. So what I want you guys to understand is that we live in a time, we live in an age, we live in, a, a decade is into, where we must educate ourselves, where we must start learning different ways on setting ourselves up for financial freedom and generational wealth. And by doing such, we got to start learning about different ways and avenues of creating revenue, especially with this digital era. AI, there's a lot of AI coins in the crypto market as well. There's a lot of AI projects, Mana, Sand, etc. There's tons of AI just specific coins as well too. I dropped them in our Discord for anybody that's in our public Discord. But back to the topic of credit, and credit being being a right, and we're granting them the right by a creditor. Okay, whom is a creditor? Once again, I stated, in order to be a creditor, you must be a creator. You must be able to create something. So if we come here to the definition, it states it refers to a person who both regularly extends whether in connection with loans, sales of property or services, or otherwise consumer credit, which is payable by agreement in more than 4 installments, or for which the payment of a finance charge is or may be required. So once again, I mentioned that the moment that they pull our credit card, we've been entered into a consumer credit transaction. And the moment that you've been entered into a consumer credit transaction, a finance charge has arose. See, what I want you guys to understand, in pursuant to 15 USC 1605, right? Go look up 1605. Within there, it states the definition, the determination of a finance charge, and it states it as being the sum of all charges. So once again, if they're pulling, and if we're extending our credit, if we're granting them the right to, therefore, so we're granting them the right to be able to extend credit. So to put it into simple terms, an extension cord, which is all that they're doing, is extending credit. An extension cord is not the true source of power. See, the true source from that extension cord is the actual battery or the outlet. See, what I want you guys to understand is we are the battery, we are the outlet, we are the currency, we are the energy. That's why they have these consumer laws in the first place, to protect consumers from illegal debt collection, the FDCPA, from financial institutions not being truthful throughout the lending process, truth in lending, from consumer reporting agencies not reporting fair or accurate or information. That's why it talks about accuracy right away in the FCRA's congressional findings. So what I want you guys to understand is that we are the creditor, yes, and the reason as to why they call themselves creditor is because we're granting them the right to therefore be able to extend credit. So because we've granted them the right, now they're able to extend it. But if I'm giving you something, how can you then give it back to me and say that I owe you something? That's where things, that's where they try to deceive us, and that's where they do deceive millions, hundreds of millions of consumers on a day-to-day basis. But you guys have been drawn here for a reason, because you guys are vibrating on a specific frequency. Right? We got clients that have been, taking action. Let me go ahead and show you guys really quick. So I showed you guys yesterday one of our clients. I'm not going to show you guys that one again. That was able to go ahead and get collections and charge-offs removed. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, but another one of our clients, he said, I've been calling corporations, etc., to clean my report, filing an FTC and CFPB, and starting to see how exactly Title 15 really is all you need to clean and sweep a credit report, and how they swindled me into being quote-unquote obligated to pay this alleged debt. Gonna have to record the phone calls for sure and say that with so much appreciation and gratitude, man, because you were a huge stepping stone for me to get here. See, I'd be doing y'all a disservice to come up here, waste my time, and give you guys information that's not working on a day-to-day basis. So it's not whether it works. It's not whether consumer law is something that's new. It's been around since the 1960s. It's whether or not you guys are willing to take action. It's whether or not you guys are willing to unlearn everything that you've been taught so that we can therefore relearn. So let's continue with the definition of credit. It means the right granted by a creditor to a debtor to defer payments of debt. So we can defer payments of debt, or to incur debt, create debt, and defer its payments. That's how powerful you guys are. So you guys can defer payments of debt, hence 15 USC 1692 CC, or to incur debt, to create it, and defer its payments, 1692 CC, cease and desist. So now I'm going to take you guys here to the definition section of debt. So it states, and you guys could see a little bit from the message that one of our clients had just stated and read out to us. It means any obligation. So think about things that we've been obliged to do throughout our lifetime. Once again, going to school, getting a job. All of these things require our credit card. We've been told that we need, to work. We've been told that we need to go to school. When my brother, he's been homeschooled his whole life. So we're not obligated to doing these things, but it's the brainwashing, it's the system that's pushed this false reality, this false narrative upon us because they're leeching off of our credit. See, public schools should actually be paying students for actually going to school. Why is it that you think when you're in college, you're able to ride public transportation for free? We should be getting paid to go to college. We should be getting paid to go to these public high schools and public elementary schools. So I want you guys to think about things that you've been obliged and obligated to doing into your life. See, this is what debt means. It means any obligation. Or, I believe the word or is the most powerful word in the English language because that gives us the ability to choose. Or alleged obligation, it says in the definition of debt, which is 15 USC 1692A. So this is the definition section for the FDCPA. I showed you guys previously in 15 USC 1602 the definition section of truth in lending. Now we're in the definition section for the FDCPA. So it means any obligation or alleged obligation. So it's simply just an allegation. It's simply alleging that you're obligated, that you owe these debts of a consumer to pay money arising out of a transaction in which money, property, insurance, or services which are the subject of the transaction are primarily for personal, family, or household purposes, whether or not such obligation has been reduced to judgment. So I want you guys to understand many people have literally taken their lives for being and drowning in debt. Many people thought that there was no way out. Many people thought that they were 100% obligated, not knowing the true definition of debt and that it means any obligation or alleged obligation, and that these corporations must validate and verify these debts. And if we go into debt validation in pursuant to 15 USC 1692G, there's no way of them validating or verifying these debts. Okay, so that's one consumer law secret. Credit is life, debt is debt. So y'all hear me talk about that? That's exactly what I mean. Now let's hop into the second secret when we're talking about the consumer law secret. So the second one is that Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion are not the only consumer reporting agencies. I hate to break it to y'all, but I love to break it to y'all. There's actually over 330 consumer reporting agencies as well too. So when it comes to tenant screening, when it comes to employment screening, when it comes to utilities, when it comes to personal property insurance, all of these things have consumer reporting agencies that are furnishing our information, that are buying and selling our information. So what I want you guys to understand is that just because I get denied employment, it may not be a reflection of what's on my Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion, but it can be from these other consumer reporting agencies that are furnishing information in regards to employment history or employment information. See, your guys' information is the biggest currency in today's world. That's why people talk about the secured party creditor process and getting off of the social. If you guys are looking to use and tap into the secure party creditor process, there's so much information out there, in terms of status change, in terms of, a non-citizen national. There's so much information out there. To simplify it, I stick with what I do. I would recommend, and I always recommend for you guys to tap into Yusuf L's high frequency radio, him on YouTube, his SPC spcuniversity.com, my man. spcuniversity.com. Secured Party Creditor University.com. I don't got no affiliation with him. I've never met the guy. I've never talked to the guy. I've invested into his information. I've watched him for countless hours, and I've seen that he's one of the ones. There's a lot of others as well too out there, but for the price, for the value, for you guys becoming a secured party creditor, I highly recommend you guys tune into that. So secret number 2 is that there's over 330 consumer report agencies. So when it comes to repossessions, it's not just Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion that we got to pull. We got to pull our LexisNexis report. We got to pull our Innovis report. If it's for employment, we got to pull our ADP screening report. If it's for insurance, we got to pull that LexisNexis report. We got to pull that insurance information exchange report. See, a lot of these are, ones that you guys may have never even heard before. If it's you guys going out and renting, we got to pull that AmRent. We got to pull that rent, or not rent reporters. We got to pull that AmRents. We got to pull that, what's that other one called? I can't think. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see. Factor trust is another one for repossessions, evictions, Teletrack. Micro builds, Sage Stream, those are for repos. I'm trying to find that one. But yeah, if you guys are going to look, there goes Rent Grow. If you guys are going to set up a checking account, just a regular bank account, and you guys get denied, early warnings, check system. So it's not just Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. So that's secret number 2. Consumer law secret number 3. Drop a 1 in the chat box if y'all are getting some value. Drop a 1 in the chat box if you guys are getting some value. And let's get the likes up as well too, family. Peace and love. And we're tuning in from Japan. We're about to get into the 3rd consumer law secret. So we went over 2 thus far. How credit is life and debt is debt. And the second one being there's over 330 consumer report agencies. If you guys are looking for that list, join our Discord, and I'll go ahead and give you guys that. So yesterday I talked a little bit about the right of rescission. I wanted to elaborate more on that. So when one does exercise his right to rescind, and how we are obligated to be receiving these forms, these rescission forms. This is required under the subsection of truth in lending. So for us being required to receive these forms and them never disclosing these forms to us, once we go out and we exercise our right to rescind, I want you guys to know the following steps in Part B of 15 U.S.C. 1635. So when an obligor exercises his right to rescind under subsection A, we got to do it in writing. We got to explain why it would be impracticable or inequitable for us to give back the property, for us to give back the services. How would it be impractical? How would it be inequitable to you, the consumer? That's all a part of Part A. He is not liable for any finance or other charge, and any security interest given by the obligor, including any such interest arising by operations of law, becomes void upon such a rescission. So upon you guys exercising your right to rescind, you are not obligated, you are not liable for any finance charge or other charge. And all payments become void upon such rescission. Now I want to stop right there real quick, because there's a lot of information and a lot of raw on the right of rescission. Just because you've exercised your right of rescission, until you actually get that account zeroed out, until you actually get it removed from your consumer report, do not stop making the minimal payments. Until you guys have gotten remedy for such, do not stop making payments until you've gotten that account zeroed out and until you've gotten remedy with that account specifically. See, a lot of people think, yes, all payments do become void upon such a rescission, and you guys were sending that transaction and that agreement. But until they communicate back to you guys expressing that, okay, yes, the We never exercised our right to rescind. Under truth in lending, we were obligated to doing such. We're going to go ahead and zero out this account for you guys because we've already been credited. Until that's taking place, still make the minimal payments that one must need to make on the credit card, on that auto loan, on whatever it is that you guys are discharging. And if they're not willing to comply, put on your big boy pants, put on your big girl pants, go to adr.org and file arbitration against this corporation. You've done your part. You've exercised your right to rescind, and it's got to be within the 3-year time frame. If they're not in compliance, if they're not communicating back to you guys, file arbitration. When you exercise your right to rescind, make sure you send that out certified mail as well too, because now you've entered them into an agreement, into a contract. So within 20 days after the receipt of a notice of the rescission, the creditor shall return to the obligor any money or property given as earnest money, down payment, or otherwise, and shall take any action necessary or appropriate to reflect the termination of any security interest. Grand Rising. Good to see you.
Hi.
Yes, yes. The obligor may retain possession of it. Upon the performance of the creditor's obligation under this section, the obligor shall tender the property to the creditor, except that if the return of the property in kind would be impracticable or inequitable. That's what I was referring to earlier. So you must state how it would be impracticable or how it would be inequitable. The obligor shall tender its reasonable value. I want all of you guys in the Black's Law Dictionary to go look up the term tender. Legal tender. Tender shall be made at the location of the property or at the residence of the obligor. At the option of the obligor, if the creditor does not take possession of the property within 20 days after the tender by the obligor, ownership of the property vests in the obligor without obligation on his part to pay for it. So let me read that part again. If the creditor does not take possessions of property within 20 days after tender by the obligor, ownership of the property vests in the obligor without obligation on his part to pay for it. So once you exercise that right of rescission, it's putting a lot of pressure onto these corporations. So what I want y'all to understand is that if they're not communicating with you guys, don't stop there. File arbitration. Don't think that just because they're not responding to you guys that you guys have won. You got to get confirmation of that account being zeroed out. Okay, family, so that's consumer law secret number 3. So I'm not telling you guys to stop making payments at all because you guys have exercised your right of rescission. Any questions on that? Any questions? How do we deal with the repo from U.S. Auto Sales since they went out of business? U.S. Auto Sales, if they went out of business. So are they the financing company? Are they the financial institution? Who's the financial institution? So that sounds like a dealership. So let me know. Now we're going to go into consumer law secret number 4. We got one more after this as well. So number 4 is that you guys can actually I want you guys all to go look up your guys' truth in lending disclosure. In your truth in lending disclosure, there's the finance charge. There's the amount financed, there's the APR, there's the total payments, right? So with that being said, if there's a finance charge, I want you to look at it, and I want you guys to understand that per each violation in truth in lending, you guys can get double the finance charge in pursuant to 15 USC 1640. So if we scroll down and read 1640, it states that except as otherwise provided in the section, any creditor who fails to comply with any requirement imposed under this part, including any requirements under section 1635 of this title, that's what we just went through, subsection F or G, or part D or E of this subchapter with respect to any person is liable to such person in an amount equal to the sum of any actual damage sustained by such person as a result of failure. So if you guys went to the dealership and if you guys went to the bank and you applied for a $50,000 auto loan, well, that's an actual damage. You guys were denied because of the inaccurate reporting, because of them not giving you guys proper disclosures. So $50,000 is the actual damage sustained. Same thing with the mortgage. 100,000, 500,000. That mortgage you applied for was $700,000 mortgage, and you were denied because of inaccurate reporting. Well, that's the actual damage that was sustained. So therefore, that's what's owed, and that's what it states in 15 USC 1692K, 15 USC 1640. 1692K is remedy within the FDCPA. 1640 is remedy within Truth in Lending. 1681N and 1681Q and O are remedy within the FCRA. Then it states, in the case of an individual's action, twice the amount of any finance charge in connection with the transaction. So it can be any actual damage or twice the amount of the finance charge in connection with the transaction. So if there's violations in Truth in Lending, that's why I got on my public channel the Truth in Lending overview. Within the overview, family, I break down in depth all of Truth in Lending to where you guys can go and find multiple violations within Truth in Lending. And per each violation, that's double the finance charge. All right, family, so that's number 4. Number 5 is that there's regulators such as the FDIC, the Federal Trade Commission, Attorney General, that we can go to and we can file disputes through. So this is the last one. So we don't have to send off everything through mail. You can do everything behind, and from the comfort of your home, but behind your computer screen from the comfort of your home. So I'm going to say those ones again. FDIC, CFPB, Attorney General, Better Business Bureau, BBB. There's even more, but those are the main ones that I've used. I don't know if I said the Federal Trade Commission. You can go to reportfraud.ftc. You can go to identitytheft.gov. These are all places that we can go to get these accounts removed from our consumer report. Okay, so those are the five. Those are the 5 consumer law secrets. Let's make sure to get the likes up. Let me know if this was helpful. Do you send these violation documents to the lender assigned? Yeah, so whoever that contract is with, whoever that agreement is with, that financial institution, yes, is going to them. And when you guys have gone through and disputed and gone through the administrative process, Attorney General, if they choose, you can choose and you can go through the Attorney General. I don't know our name on the I didn't know our name on the birth certificate is considered to be a legal name as well. Not only it says a decent descent and estate and LOL trust, I got a different legal name on my social. So your name on your birth certificate is different than your name on your social? Attorney General, if they choose to persistently violate. Yes, you can even, from the reporting of that information, they violated. So you can right away report to the Attorney General. I like to report to the Attorney General, especially for evictions and repossessions. Any more questions, family? I love the questions. Make sure you guys are tuned in as well to our public Discord. We got a lot of people in the Discord that have been getting tremendous results. So I look forward to continuously helping each and every single one of you guys. Any more questions? Any more questions? Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and end this live here. If you guys got more questions, please feel free to drop in our Discord channel. If you guys need our Discord channel, text us at 305-575-2843. How is it that after you send a rescission, you get to keep the vehicle? Because if we look at the truth in lending disclosure, they've already been credited. And these are things, and them giving us our rescission forms are requirements under truth in lending. They don't give us those forms. So for them not giving us such, if you look at 15 U.S.C. 1611, they can actually be imprisoned for willfully and knowingly withholding certain forms which they're required to disclose to us. Furthermore, getting back to the truth in lending disclosure, if you look at the finance charge and if you look at the amount financed, the amount financed is always going to cover the finance charge. And under the amount financed, it says the amount of credit provided to you on your behalf. Well, that money is coming from our Setscape Trust, which many of you guys may have heard. That unlimited credit plan that many of you guys may have heard. See, our whole life is credited. You will lend to many nations, but you will borrow from none. Never, and that's Deuteronomy 15, never in any transaction are we the borrower. Never are we the borrower. We've been deceived into thinking that we're the borrower, but we're always the lender in every single transaction. That's what I went over at the beginning of this call as to, in order to be a creditor, you must be able to create life. None of these corporations can create life, and a piece of paper cannot create another piece of paper. That's all a corporation is. If you've ever incorporated any business, an LLC, any corporation, a sole prop, they're all pieces of paper. See, we natural people are able to create more natural people, which are therefore able to go out and credit more of these corporations. And the more that we create life, the more creditors that there are. But we're able to create life at will. So it doesn't say it specifically, but if you read if you understand the definition of a finance charge, which is 15 U.S.C. 1605, that's the sum of all charges. And then if you read the amount financed, it says the amount of credit provided to you on your behalf. Like the amount of money provided to you on your behalf. And if it's more than the finance charge, and if the finance charge is the sum of all charges, then that means that what's been provided to me on my behalf is covering the sum of all charges. I hope that makes sense. So these corporations are getting credited, they're getting paid multiple times, family. Like I said earlier in this call, schooling systems, your jobs are all getting paid and benefiting off your guys' credit card. We have an unlimited credit plan, an open-ended credit plan. This isn't what I'm telling you guys. This is something that I created. I'm not, look into 15 U.S.C. 1602. In consumer, there is no money. There is no money. That's the secret. We the people are the currency. We the people are the money. We the people are the credit. In consumer residential leases without interest terms, can we attach a letter to use such interest as a finance lease like dealerships use? Leases are different. But read Truth in Lending. There's some things in regards to leases within Truth in Lending. Do you rescind the contract or just secure the interest, or do you revoke their power of attorney? I rescind the contract. Good questions, family. All of you guys in the Discord, I don't know why my camera looks like this. It's craziness. It's definitely like less than 720p. Terrible. Shamika, you're giving your social security number is using a credit card, so they get access to the account. And if they do not do anything in 20-day time frame, what do you do next? If they don't do anything in a 20-day time frame, what you will do is you will go through arbitration and file arbitration against them through adr.org, because also in that agreement it states if there's any claims, any legal procedure in which they did not follow, anything that's inaccurate on your consumer report, to go through arbitration. So you will file arbitration through adr.org. You will pay $235 to file arbitration, and you will get everything settled with an arbitrator. A consumer lease still falls under subtitle 1601. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, congressional findings of truth in lending, because it still involves the use of consumer social number information. Yes, like I said, it's still a little different though. It's still different than an agreement with these financial institutions. But yes, it's still applicable under truth in lending. 1601, I believe, is C that breaks that down. Good questions, though, family. So we shouldn't have to follow the trend of a consumer lease. Instead, it can be a common law finance arrangement, from my understanding. I don't teach that, so I couldn't tell you, brother. So now 1099 old. So no 1099 OID. I don't teach 1099 OID as well, or nothing with the 1099. I teach what's been proven to work for me and my community. You know, I know that there's a lot of information out there, and I like to stick with what I know and what's worked for me. I've personally removed multiple auto loans with the right of rescission. I've personally removed student loans with the right of rescission. But in terms of a 1099, I've personally never done that, so I don't teach that. So do I notify the lenders of arbitration? You won't need to. If you file arbitration. So yes, you'll dispute with them, you know, exercising your right of rescission and letting it be known within that as well too. If they're not willing to comply and if they're not willing to rescind the agreement, then you'll take them through arbitration. So yes, you're putting them on notice of such, when you are filing and sending out that right of rescission. And if they're not willing to comply after those 20 days, then you'll then go to adr.org and you'll file arbitration through them, and adr.org will put them on notice as well. Wouldn't touch a 1099 OID unless you're qualified with the IRS. Just saying. Yeah, I don't know, everything in regards to that. All right, family. I appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all for your time, for your energy, for your due diligence. I hope that this video was very helpful for each and every single one of you guys. And I look forward to seeing the results that come out of this and the growth throughout your guys' journey. Do I request my disclosures first from the lender? You should have them. If you don't, you can also find those on adr.org. We got tons of videos on those as well. All right, family. One love. I appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure that you guys are pouring into your cup. Pouring into your cup every day. So often as high vibrational beings, people are always looking for our energy, right? And we're giving out our energy in so many different places. But make sure you guys are pouring into your cup so that you guys can therefore do the work and help those other people as well. All right, y'all. Peace and love.